This video is primarily about upgrading my NEPTUNE 4 so that it's ready for the PICO MMU to work fully. This involves a lot of changing the electronics, changing the tool head, and mounting the PICO. I hope you enjoy. And now let's go back to when this printer wasn't printing. I've just test mounted the board that I'm going to use to control it. It's just attached to a screw, and then it has a nut as a spacer. Yeah, and I reprinted the mount that I'm gonna put it on. The mount is feeling surprisingly secure. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera a bunch. I don't know if anyone's noticed in the other videos, but my Elegoo NEPTUNE 4 is a little bit different. I don't have the controller down here and the motherboard and everything. Mine is in that little box outside the chamber because it was having some overheating issues. But I really don't like that location. It's annoying. I meant to mount it under the table, but it's going to be difficult to access there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it on top. So up here somewhere. I got to clear up some stuff and make room, but that's the plan. And that should also make it easier to then wire the PICO MMU. But I will have to run cables from my stepper motors up to the controller. So that might be a little bit of a pain. But that's the plan for right now. And ideally I won't have to make new holes in my plexiglass or acrylic glass. Cause that's a big pain. I'm gonna try to just flip the sheet around so that then the holes are at the top and go from there. Hoping for the best. The side acrylic panel, which meant I had to take apart all of the wiring for my Elegoo NEPTUNE 4, but this does give me a chance to show how I have this set up, or how I had it before, because it's not going to stay exactly the same going forward, but it will be mostly the same. So, for starters, the motherboard is well, it's actually not the stock board that came with my printer. I burnt out one of the fans on that a while ago now, so I got a warranty board, which I burnt out a different fan slot on, and this is an AliExpress board that I ordered. But it's working fine. I have the other two boards still. They still work perfectly, aside from each of them have a set of fans not working. One's the hot end fan, one's the part fan, but that doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is the motherboard. I have a 32 gigabyte eMMC chip, which is loaded with Open Clipper firmware, which basically allows me to use the full all the features of Clipper and use like a main Clipper fork rather than having to use Elegoo's Clipper fork, which is somewhat limiting. And it also allows me to get full access to Linux with a Debian interface. I don't know what the stock Elegoo's Linux OS is like, to be honest. I have my stepper drivers configured a little bit strangely compared to most people, where I have X, Y, Z, and then Z1 configured here, and then right now I have nothing plugged into this E1 slot. I will eventually be using this, or at least the plan is to use it. And then I have a U2C board from Big Tree Tech, which is connected to a Big Tree Tech EBB36 board running canbus. And this is acting as a toolhead board, even though it's not installed inside the toolhead or on the toolhead. This I did mostly because I wanted to test configuring canbus, but I didn't want to go through all of the effort of redesigning my toolhead yet. And this seemed like an easier solution because I can still use the original umbilical cable and just plug all the things in to the Big Tree Tech board inside this box here. So as I work on reassembling the electronics box for the Elegoo, I decided to take apart the umbilical cable that comes with it, and I found out that it actually has two separate ribbon cables inside. It has one for the x-axis and for the X limit switch and for the X motor, and then it has another one for the print head, which I thought that inside of this it connected together into one big fat ribbon cable, but it's actually two completely separate ribbon cables. So that's nice. That works out well for me. I do still think that this cable for the X motor is too short. So I don't know how I'm going to make use of it, but we will have to wait and see. Little progress report. I don't think I'm going to be able to put the electronics box on top of my lack enclosure like I wanted to, mostly because of the cable lengths and the fact that I don't want to make my own entire cable harness right now. Yeah. So it's still, I am gonna actually mount it on the bottom properly this time. So we'll see how that goes, and then I'll show you after. So one of the things that I need to print and change on my Elegoo is the print head. I'm changing it to a design by Silent Frost, I think it is, or Frost Silent. I'll put it in the description one way or another. He has a really nice tool head, which also uses 3 50-15 fans, which is what my other tool head's using, and it also supports the beacon probe like my other tool head. But the thing that it has, which I really need, is it has 2 spots on the top to mount either a Bowden tube fitting or whatever you want, basically. And with that, I can mount the 4-into-1 hub that I need for the PICO MMU on the Elegoo. Over here on the Elegoo, you can see how I have my Bowden tube set up. It works, it's functional, but it's not ideal. It hooks onto the 2 fans on the far sides. And this is a design that I made myself, but I don't want to use this sort of design for the filament hub. I just don't think it will be a good solution. I would rather change the tool head to the one by Silent Frost, which has spots for screws, I believe just back here and over here, or maybe it's this side. I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest, but I know it has a mount, and I've already seen that someone made a 4-into-1 hub, so that saves me quite a bit of CAD time. New tool head for the Elegoo just finished. Well, it finished a little while ago, but I let the chamber cool a bit. It's down to 45. Here's the print. Looking very nice. A little bit of ugly support material, but I think it'll be fine. Hopefully. We'll see. Open it up. So I'm deciding to take a little break from the electronics box to work on the print head. Here's the one that came off the Voron V0, and here is the old print head that was on the printer. So and then I have the heat press, or the heated insert press here ready to go, because I need to put a bunch of heated inserts into this cowling, I think is the correct term, and then disassemble this one, take off whatever I want to take off. I don't know if I'm actually going to take everything, because these fans are going to have to be rewired. I think I have some other fans that are already wired for JST XH connectors. Oh, actually I have it right here. Yeah, so this is the other tool head I have assembled, which was just a test for mounting the Big Tree Tech boards. I still am not entirely sure what the best mounting method is. I think for now I'm going to go with a mounting method similar to this, where I basically just slap it on top, or slap it on wherever it can go, and then more long term I'm gonna work on a proper mount, and I think I might see if I can have it mount to this plate, and I just swap these 4 screws out for slightly longer ones, because I believe they're M3, but for that I have to double check that they're M3 before I start that CAD process. And down here in this box is the PICO MMU just waiting. And this is the state of where the electronics side is. Basic motors are wired, but nothing's wired for the print head. And now the electronics are going to be organized like this, with power supply on the right and the MCU slash control board on the left. I'm making all the cables extra long so that I can work on the MCU out, like I pull it out basically. That's my plan to fix my concern about how accessible it is. But I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna go. Just gonna have to wait and see and do the best I can. So the assembly on the new tool head was going really well. The EBB board location is kind of weird, but making the mount was a lot easier this way. But as I went to screw in my beacon, I broke part of it. So now I'm probably gonna have to reprint the cowling and then re-put all the heat inserts, which I don't think I have enough of the right size, so I just ordered some. I'll get here tomorrow, but yeah, either way, I'm gonna install this for a test run. Even though the beacon isn't properly mounted, it will be enough for turning on the printer and making sure that the hot end can heat up, which is all I really want to do today. Yeah. So I'm going to take the opportunity while the heat press is warming up to explain some things that I'm doing right now. So because of some of the changes, I want to have as much space for my y-axis to move as possible before it hits the back panel of my enclosure. So I'm redesigning this piece that I had at the back because I wasn't using a cable chain anyways, since my power supply isn't mounted in the normal spot, so it doesn't, for a bunch of reasons I didn't want to use it. So I'm switching it to this one. And then the Kubsa, I think that's how you say it, I honestly don't know, will be mounted on the bottom. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it has no heat issues. I am a bit worried about that, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. And then for the cables, I'm just going to route them this way through this little slot that I left. And hopefully it works out. Yeah. So I just finished installing the new bed alignment bracket, and I forgot to take into account how far the USB cable would go. So now the bed can't actually move properly. So I am redesigning that part, and we'll get that going. But right now, the V0 is printing the new tool head to fix the part that broke on the... I'm not going to risk opening it because I want this print to come out as strong as possible, and keeping the heat in is the best thing for that. So it's been, I think, about 24 hours since the last update that I filmed, and got the printer set up again. Got my wiring configured. It's very ugly right now, and it probably will stay very ugly for a while. But it's semi-working right now. This tool head is gonna have to come off for a variety of reasons, but primarily because the mount for the beacon is broken on this one. I already have the new one printed. I just need to put the heat inserts in. But that takes some time. It took me forever to get my little corner bracket how I wanted. It took me like, I think I did 3 versions, which is 2 more versions than it should have taken me, but whatever. I am switching to sensorless homing for the Z-axis, and I put a little felt pad here at the back so that when the bed slams into this bracket, because it's using sensorless homing, it doesn't make too bad of a noise. But that did save me some cable length. On the x-axis, I don't want to go with sensorless homing because I don't like having the print head smash into stuff. Yeah. And taking a look at the electronics, this is how it looks now. It's not great, not pretty, but hey, it works. And eventually I'll I'll redesign the electronics box, and I think I'm gonna move the U to C back into the electronics box most likely, along with that USB hub that I have, mostly because I just want it to be cleaner inside the enclosure. I don't think temps wise it will really matter. This mount that I'm trying for the EBB, I think I'm gonna end up using, because like this, I don't have to extend the cables for the heater cartridge or swap out the heater cartridge from the printer, which are both things that I don't really want to do. But we'll have to see. First, I gotta disassemble this one, put the heat inserts in the new one, and go from there. Regarding the PICO MMU, I'm printing a new mount for it on the V0 right now. So we'll see how that goes. So I think in the last update, if I remember correctly, this is 2 days ago now, I had the board mounted in the wrong spot. I now have the board mounted using one of the screws from the front fan, which clears it nicely from the hot end. It's not ideal because it's only mounted by one screw, but that's something I'll adjust later. I'm also now trying out the quick remove fitting that Silent Frost made for this tool head, and there's another design for a 4-into-1 hub, which it's designed specifically for the PICO MMU. Someone else made it, but it works perfectly for me. All of those links will be in the description. But the problem I'm having right now is the hot end doesn't want to heat up for some reason, which is a problem. And then there's also the problem of the thermistor wire being too short and it being... I can't figure out what size it is. I thought it was a JST ZH connector, but I think it's a PH connector, and I don't have any female plugs for JST PH, so nothing I can do about that. And on top of that, to remove either the heater cartridge or the thermistor, I have to disassemble the entire tool head. Partially because this cooling duct is in the way of where the heater cartridge and the thermistor exit, and partially because even if I just try and remove the hot end, like the two screws that connect it below the extruder. Actually, I have a NEPTUNE extruder right here. So even if I just try to remove these two bottom screws, the tool head actually can't, not the tool head, the hot end can't fit past these cooling ducts at all. I've tried very hard. Yeah, so that's a massive pain. But I mean, I feel like that's probably the best thing to check first, because I made these cables many months ago and I have no idea. And then for the thermistor, I'm just gonna have to put a new one in. But the problem with that is, if I remember correctly, the thermistor on the NEPTUNEs is really short for some reason. I think I measured it at 5 millimeters or 10 millimeters. It wasn't a standard size though. And as a result, all the ones that I have, that I've bought, are a little bit big. So I don't know how well that's gonna work. We might just have to try it and hope for the best, because I don't know what else to do with this connector. I moved the EBB board here, and I mounted it this little bracket. I have I think this is an ATX 4-pin connector. I don't know, to be honest. This one is currently connected to this board, and then the one that's connected just to the terminals over there is connected to this toolhead board right now. What else was I having trouble with? Oh, one of the dumbest problems I had to deal with yesterday was the fact that for some reason the Y stepper motor, all of the cables that I tried to plug into it didn't want to work until eventually I found the original Y stepper motor cable, plugged that in, and now it works perfectly. Sensorless homing, no problem. So that's good, but it's just weird. Doesn't make much sense to me. I haven't set up the two canbus IDs yet. I think this EBB might still have the firmware set up for a USB connection, and I'm debating whether I should just connect it over USB, but I still have to connect the micro Molex cable anyways for power, so it doesn't really benefit me in any way. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do with this hot end, and then I'll update you guys soon. So it's been a number of hours since the last update. Most of what's been happening has been tuning, coding in Clipper, and going absolutely not going insane, but losing my mind over the stupid Z motor wires, because the red and green cables were swapped, and then I was trying to fix it in Clipper because you can just reassign the pins, but I could not get it to work. Drove me crazy. And now for some stupid reason, the Y motor, or the Y stepper driver, keeps overheating. I assume as a result of the sensorless homing, but that's just a weird problem to have. There was a short time when I ran one of these boards in my Voron V0, and that was running with sensorless homing, and I don't remember having any overheating issues. So I really don't understand why the Y motor is overheating so much, or why the Y stepper driver is overheating so much. But unless I can get that under control, I don't really know what I should solve next, because I can't print right now. It fails to start the print because the Y motor starts overheating. Maybe I just add the end stop back, the physical one. I mean, it's another wire to run, but that's it. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to make a mount for it and come up with all of that. Anyways, I started putting the PTF tubes in. This mount up here, it works pretty well, but I really should have put the PICO MMU higher up, and you can already see that it's slowly starting to tip down back here, and that's increased over the last day and a half that I've mounted this ago. But it is a rough proof of concept that mounting the PICO MMU like this works. I really don't know how people run their tubes in a way that doesn't cause too much friction or too much tension, but that's something that I gotta figure out at some point. But yeah, frustratingly, still not printing. So, I finally managed to do it. I finally managed to start one of these clips with the Neptune 4 printing. It only took like 3 or 4 days longer than I was hoping, but it's printing. It's printing nicely, it's coming out great. Hooray. Yeah, I ended up switching it back to a physical switch, and I actually mounted it nicely instead of just having it hot glued onto the Y motor, which was really not a good idea considering the Y motor got really hot, but whatever. I still need to flash the firmware on this Big Tree Tech board, and then I can start configuring this. This here. Sorry, I don't know if I cut that in the clip. I do need a tool head sensor, which this filament hub supports and has a spot for one. And I have the micro switches, and I thought I had the bearings because the bearing you need for this sensor is just one of the ball bearings from a 608 ball bearing. So I was just going to open a ball bearing and grab one of those so I didn't have to buy bearings or anything. But turns out all the 608 ball bearings I have are pressed in place, so they're like really hard to open apparently. So I've decided to just order some and wait. I'm hoping that they arrive today, if not tomorrow. That and flashing the toolhead board, I think, are all that's left for getting the PICO running. So yesterday I did get the PICO MMU EBB flashed, but sadly I learned something new, and that is that these EBB little boards on their servo pins, they have a pretty limited amperage current that you can draw. So I think I killed this board on the very first test of the PICO MMU. On my other PICO MMU, I have it plugged in directly to the Big Tree Tech SKR PICO servo pins. So this is my first time using it through an EBB. So as a result of that, I am adding in a buck down converter to get external 5-volt to the servo motor. I'm just going to print a little case for that, and figure out a way to mount this and probably cut a bunch of this extra PCB off that I don't need. I do have here 3 ground pins and 1 voltage pin, because from what I understand, the ground of the external power and the ground of the Big Tree Tech board need to be connected together. So I left some extra pins here. I hope that that's correct. The reason I found out that the EBB doesn't support it is because I was asking around in the PICO MMU Discord, which is part of the LH Slinger Discord, I think it's called. I could be wrong, but they let me know, so making some changes and going from there. I already flashed this board with Catapult, which is the new name for canbus, if you've ever heard of it. And now it still needs to be flashed with Clipper, but for that I have to connect the canbus cable, and I haven't gone around to doing that because I've been working on this external power situation. Somewhat frustrating, but I mean, this is something that I should have looked into a little bit more. And I just didn't, and I'm paying the price for it by now having a dead EBB board. Yeah, it doesn't power on at all. I tried connecting it with USB, absolutely nothing. So I think it's just, I have a feeling it's just a goner. Yeah, I'll add it to my sad little pile of dead electronics. I did get this hub set up with, because the ball bearing arrived in the mail finally. And then I already had the micro switch, just connected up some wires. And then it's actually connected to these pins. I realized that I could have just used the ones above, but I thought those were reserved for the I2C connection, or IC squared connection. So I didn't want to use it. But whatever, this works fine. I had some of these 2-pin PH pre-crimped cables lying around, so I just used that, and it fits fine. Because I don't have whatever size connector is supposed to go in there. I think it's a PH like 5-pin, but I can't entirely tell, to be honest. So, sorry, I just checked the camera a whole bunch. The PICO MMU is back to life. I just finished rewiring its power, so now it has 5-volt power coming from a step-down buck converter that's over there in the corner. So hopefully it doesn't kill the BTT EBB 36. Damn, I'm forgetting the names. I'm gonna do some test runs, and I'm gonna figure out where I can place my phone, try and capture them. I need to test all the servo angles, because I have a feeling that right now it's engaging filament 1. All right, I guess it's lane 0, filament 1. I always forget how it's done. I'm just gonna say 0. It's engaging lane 0 when it should be in neutral, which is a problem. But there's nothing I can, well, I just need to see how my angles are, if it's actually at 0 right now. Because if it is, then I need to fix that, because 0 shouldn't be here. But yeah, next up is a bunch of testing for this. Alrighty, first test of the PICO MMU 4-lane on the Elegoo. What should I try first? We'll do an angle test, I guess. Let's go to 0. We're at 0. So the angle for 0 needs to change. That's gonna be a little bit of pain. We'll do that in a minute. So let's see how the rest of it's going. Cool. So this is 120. 120 very nicely engages the 4th gear. I walked away from the mic a little bit, but I was just saying that these angles don't really matter because I'm going to change the camshaft angle. That was a very bad sound. I don't know what exactly caused that sound. Oh, is my belt breaking off? Oh, crap. It is. Okay, I guess I need to go fix that. I gotta check my stepper motor pins. I'm thinking it might be pinned wrong in clipper, and that's what that sound was. I'm not entirely sure what it was, and it scared me, so I hit the emergency stop, but mostly because I don't want to kill another board. But the board still has its light on, so it's alive. Cool. And the stepper went back to position 0 like it's supposed to after every restart. Yeah, alright. I'm gonna pause this video so I don't wipe just a bunch of storage and fix the servo belt mount and check what's going on with the pins for the motor. So I just spent the last, I don't know, hour, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, trying to figure out what was going on with the stupid stepper motor in here. And it took me forever to figure out that all I had to do was swap 2 of the pins on the cable. I have a shorter cable. I just need to swap the pins on that one. But whatever. I want to do a little test, see that it's working for the most part, and then I can get into the nitty-gritty of configuring and tuning and all of that. But as of now, the build is basically done. I mean, the PICO's mounted, it's ready, it's all working. Just gotta test it and then do some more configuration. Let's run the SP test MMU macro. This should go through each lane and then pull it and then push it back. Oh, I just realized I need to change the settings to say that I have a 4-lane MMU. I think that the stock clipper config file has it set up for only 3 lanes, so that's something I gotta do. But as of now, I'm gonna call the video here. It's been a long week of messing around with this stupid toolhead and other annoying issues that I kept running into, but PICO is mounted. The next video is gonna be fine-tuning and getting all of that set. I'll see you guys then.